For sports, the word of the decade in the 90s was expansion. Between 1990 and 1999, 15 new teams entered the 4 major US sports leagues. Expansion for the NBA would prove to be particularly bold, as it would bring the game of basketball north of the border for the first time in nearly 50 years. The 1990s would see the birth of 2 new Canadian basketball franchises. Today we will be diving into the story of these 2 teams and how over 30 years in the league, one became a champion and one would be forced to grapple with finding its place in the league. I'm John Harris, and this is Sportstory. In Vancouver, the organization's original plan was to become the Vancouver Mounties, paying homage to Canada's Royal Canadian Mounted Police. After the police objected to this idea, the organization would shift to becoming the Vancouver Grizzlies, named for the bear that was indigenous to British Columbia. In a strange move for the expansion teams, the NBA would deny the 2 teams a top 5 pick in the 1995 season. It would not be allowed a top draft pick in the following 3 seasons, even if they won the draft lottery. The teams were also barred from using their full salary cap for their first 2 seasons. With the ban in place, the Grizzlies would receive the number 6 pick, and the Raptors would receive the 7th pick in the 95 draft after Vancouver won a preseason coin flip. With their first pick as a franchise, the Grizzlies would select Oklahoma State center Bryant Reeves. Reeves would become a standout in Vancouver, earning the nickname Big Country. Unfortunately though, he would not pan out, failing at both carrying the team and lacking a creative style on the court. He would spend his entire career with the Grizzlies before retiring from the sport in 2001, vanishing from the public eye. Vancouver would start the season 2-0 before losing 19 straight games, notably setting the then record for most consecutive losses in the NBA, losing 23 straight games between February and April, on track to a 15-67 record. Throughout the rest of the decade, neither team would experience much success, with both teams accumulating losing season after losing season. While Toronto's misfortune could be attributed to bad injury luck and having the youngest NBA roster during the time, Vancouver's misfortune would all come down to mismanagement. From 1995 to 1999, Vancouver would trade away multiple draft picks, including a 2003 first-round pick, for players like 35-year-old Otis Thorpe, who would spend a single season with the team. The team's draft mismanagement would reach a breaking point in 1999 with their decision to draft Maryland point guard Steve Francis with the 2nd overall pick. In the lead up to the 1999 NBA draft, Steve Francis would openly declare that he would refuse to play in Vancouver, making multiple trips during the pre-draft period to the holders of the 1st and 3rd pick, Chicago and Charlotte respectively, never once meeting with Vancouver. Despite the bad publicity, Vancouver would use their pick on Francis. And despite his declaration, Francis would decide to play for Vancouver, flying to the city for a post-draft press conference. Things were looking up for the relationship between Francis and Vancouver until an interaction at the Vancouver International Airport would push him out of the city once and for all. Following his post-draft conference, Francis, his agents Jeff Freed and Nate Peake, and his older brother Terry would head to the Vancouver International Airport, planning to return home to Maryland. While picking up the tickets, a ticketing agent would ask Freed if Francis's squad was a rap group. After reporting the remark back to Francis, he would definitively cut all ties with the team, requesting a trade, never playing a single game with the Grizzlies. Francis would go on to win Rookie of the Year that season with the Houston Rockets. While Toronto would enter the new century with high hopes back across the country, as a new century began, hope was beginning to run out in Vancouver. At the turn of the 21st century, the Grizzlies were plagued with hardship after hardship. The NBA lockout in 1998, which would shorten the season to 50 games, would see drops in attendance across the league. This drop would cause irreparable damage to the Grizzlies, with attendance never returning to normal. The Grizzlies never proved to be profitable in Vancouver. with original owner Arthur Griffiths being forced to sell the team to Seattle-based cellular mogul John McGraw Jr. in 1996 after their debut season. Profits would never come around, and following the lockout in '98, enough had become enough. McGraw Jr. would put the team up for sale. An original sale of the Grizzlies would be made in 1999 to the NHL's St. Louis Blues owner Bill Laurie for $200 million. Plans were to move the team to St. Louis, but the plan would be shut down by the NBA Board of Governors, not wishing to move the team out of Vancouver. In January of 2001, a successful sale was finally made, with the team being sold to Chicago-based businessman Michael Heisley for $160 million. Heisley would initially promise to keep the team in Vancouver, but that would soon prove to be false, as by March of that year, the Grizzlies would have a new home, with the 2000-2001 season being their final one in Vancouver. Throughout their 6 seasons in Vancouver, the Grizzlies never produced a winning record, placing last in their division in all but one season, with their best record of 23-50 coming in their final season in Canada. By early March, the new home of the Grizzlies had been narrowed down to 2 cities, Memphis, Tennessee, and Louisville, Kentucky. Both cities were viewed positively due to their strong college basketball supporting fan bases and lack of any other major sports teams to interfere with the Grizzlies' viewership. The decision would be made all too simple when Memphis native and founder of AutoZone, Pitt Hyde, offered to buy an ownership stake upwards of 50% in the team, sealing the deal for Grizzlies ownership. That summer, the NBA Board of Governors would reverse their decision they made 2 years earlier, voting to allow the Grizzlies to move to Memphis. With attendance rapidly dwindling and an apparent lack of care for the team in Vancouver, the board would finally be forced to acknowledge that the NBA's experiment in Vancouver had been a failure. Abandoned by the city they called home, the Grizzlies would be moved to Memphis for the 2001-2002 season, sitting at the bottom of the league, having to start from scratch, all over again. Despite the blow of being seemingly run out of Vancouver, emotions for the Grizzlies would soon take a turn for the better, as within 3 seasons of playing in Memphis, the Grizzlies would put up their first winning record in franchise history, along with 3 straight playoff appearances from 2004 to 2006. During their first 5 seasons in Memphis, the Grizzlies would be awarded the NBA Rookie of the Year for power forward Pau Gasol in 2002, the NBA Coach and Executive of the Year in 2004 for head coach Hugh B. Brown and general manager Jerry West, and the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award in 2006 for shooting guard Mike Miller. While both teams would continue to struggle for the latter half of the 2000s, by the 2010s, momentum was beginning to build for the Raptors and Grizzlies. Memphis would make 7 consecutive playoff appearances from 2011 to 2017, winning its first playoff series in franchise history against the San Antonio Spurs in 2011. Notably during this streak, the Grizzlies would appear in the conference finals in 2013, off the play of Defensive Player of the Year Marc Gasol, although they would quickly be swept by the Spurs. Over 70 years after the Toronto Huskies first played ball, in nearly 25 years since Toronto and Vancouver joined the NBA, the Raptors reigned victorious, and Canada had an NBA champion. In Memphis, for once, prospects are looking brighter for the Grizzlies. Off the play of 2020 NBA Rookie of the Year Ja Morant, the Grizzlies have appeared in the playoffs in 4 of the last 6 seasons, placing first in their division for the first time in franchise history in 2022. It has not been an easy journey for the 2 Canadian teams, but while one was able to climb the mountain to reach the glory of a championship, the other, marred by years of bad decision-making, would be able to slowly but surely recuperate, finding its identity in a new city. Famously, after their first season playing in Tennessee, ownership would float the idea of changing the team's name to something more suited to the city of Memphis. The city would fight back, showing its full support for the Grizzlies, showing the NBA that not only would the Grizzlies be here to stay as the name, but as a team. Finally, appreciated by its city. I'm John Harris, and this has been Sportstory. Thank you for listening.